What is up, guys? It's that Panda again. I'm here again with another video, and today we're gonna be going through heroes and stuff. The tier list. I'm just updating it, and I'm gonna say this off the bat real quick. The reason I do this two screen thing is really because I hate doing this, right? Like I find this like blank space to be so unnerving for me. Okay, that's the reason I do this. For anybody wondering, it's not actually, it was actually not intentional, but I kind of just felt the need to. Okay, and now we're gonna hop right into it because I felt like that was a random kind of jab. But yeah, I won't be doing the epic heroes. I do have a separate video for epic heroes specifically, and I mean, they haven't really updated the epic heroes. They almost never update epic heroes, so I think that these are kind of unnecessary to go over, as I feel like I'll just be kind of going over the same things. And the thing is with the heroes, when you get new heroes, obviously hero tiers change, right? Like Julia right now, she could be maybe an S class, but after a year or two, she might drop down to a B class because there are heroes that are more meta, kind of replace her. It's the same for Chun, right? I feel like Chun kind of got overshined by Julia, not to the point where she's irrelevant, but to the point where, there's just, Julia is better to me, That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, we're gonna hop right into it. Just so everybody knows, these are my opinions, obviously. So you can always beg to differ. You can always argue out why a hero is more valid than another. But yeah, you can talk that in the comment section. All right, I'm not gonna keep you guys waiting though. Let's hop right into it. We're gonna start off with the man, the myth, the legend, Peterson, and I'm gonna still put him S class. I think this was pretty obvious. Peterson has always been this high tier hero, especially with how insane he is at his role, which is obviously being a garrison. He is an amazing garrison hero, not only for towers, for wall, even on the field. I mean, he obviously isn't the most optimal hero, right? Like if I honestly had to pick a hero to do damage or something, I would choose someone like Eddie, right? But that doesn't make him bad on the field. I still think that he's viable, and overall, I just find Peterson to be a very useful, very viable hero. So I definitely put him S class, just because I don't know, he's always performed well. He's kind of meta. I think I didn't play Rise of Kingdoms, right? I played it for maybe a week, but I heard that there weren't heroes like these in Rise of Kingdoms, or like an insane healer like this. So, having a healer like this kind of changes how everybody has to play coming in a game like this, right? Like, he's just so insane to where you have to play around him. There's literally no going around that. People change regions simply to obtain this hero. He's just insane, okay? He's just a crazy hero. Peterson has always been that top class guy. Even like as a wall hero, he's way better than having someone like Tom, and kind of helps you not melt us. Next, I'll wait on Adut because I gotta kind of get my thoughts together. We'll go over Julia. I feel a little conflicted, but I'm gonna be a little controversial and put her in S tier simply because she is my favorite current. Not range hero. I still find Lewis to be more appealing, but I do think that she's the best glass cannon as of now, especially with like her kind of outshining Chun. Because I'll kind of show two screens here. This kind of helps because I can now do two screens. But not only is Chun kind of mediocre as a leader because she has the 1.2k rage required, and I mean, it doesn't make her bad, just makes her less appealing. You can't even make her a support hero because her skill damage gets cut in half when you do that. Not only that, I just find Julia's skills to overall be more appealing than Chun, and I feel like this kind of pushed Chun down. Like, even if Julia isn't S class, she would be A class, and that would make me kind of put Chun in B class, right? And that's kind of how I feel. And honestly, I'm gonna put Julia actually in A class, but I'm gonna be fair and say, like I said, I think that she's an insane glass cannon, and she's kind of like wavering between for me, right? I find her to honestly be a really good hero. I just think the biggest issue about range heroes is they are focused a lot more, and I mean, that's kind of a given because they are really good heroes and are just really good at melting stuff really fast, right? And I mean, that also means that they also just have a lower HP compared to to infantry heroes, obviously. Well, this hero, but yeah, you guys get my overall point, right? Like, I just find her to be more so appealing. And since I already put Julia in A class, I'll do Chun. I think that Chun is still a really good hero. And considering that you get her way before Julia, it is really a matter of, am I going to invest in Chun? Because I've already invested a good bit in Chun on some of my accounts, and I've been wavering, right, if I want to invest in Julia, and I've just decided that I'll go for Julia. But in the case of, let's say, I awaken Chun, and I still have a lot of hero choices, for example, Eddie, if I had to invest in Eddie and I had to decide between, well, I've already invested maybe 2-3 skills in Chun, should I go for Eddie, or should I just ditch on Chun, all those wasted relics, and should I go for Julia? I will be fair and say this. I think that you should probably hold off on investing in Chun if you really don't find the need to invest in her yet, because Julia does kind of up her one by one. The thing that I will say is it's kind of like an inch up, right? It's not like a meta hero, like an insane gap between the two. I still find Julia more appealing, but I feel like they slightly upped her, right? I think they slightly upped Julia so that she's more valuable than Chun, but not to the point where it's insane and it's not some like game-changing hero, right? Where it's not like Peterson, for example. Overall, Chun is still a good hero. I think her skills are still appealing, and I don't find her to be bad. I still think that she's a good glass cannon. That's why I still put her in B class instead of maybe dropping her to C or D. Next up, we'll go over Bella. I think that Bella is still a pretty good hero in my honest opinion. I'm gonna put her in A. I think that she's an A hero. I think that she's still my favorite rider in all honesty. I prefer her. I think like obviously there's a hero like this. Like some people are gonna think that he's better. Some people will think Elena might be better. I'm not sure about that. I don't really care for Elena all that much. I think that Elena's still good, but I haven't really felt the need to invest in her when you kind of consider that Bella and a hero like, I can't pronounce his name, but you guys know I'm talking about, right? But like Bella and him come way earlier, right? They come way before Elena do. And the thing is, I don't think that Elena, even if she is better, I don't think it's like, I think it's kind of the same as Julia, but maybe a little bit smaller of a gap, where Elena still is a really good hero, but she's not to the point where I care to invest in her, right? I think if I've already invested in these two heroes, there's absolutely no need for me to invest in someone like Elena, because she doesn't offer something amazing, something massive or a big gap. That's why I kind of just don't care for her as much. I think that Bella still is, kind of Elena level, kind of his level, right? I think they're all kind of the same level on a hero scale, but I do think that, she's overall better. That's why I'm also going to put Elena, honestly, on B, simply because of the fact that I don't think that she's a B hero exactly. I think that she could be an A hero, but I'm simply putting her on B because I do think that, like, if you've already had, rider choices to invest in and you've already gotten the chance to invest in these heroes, I don't know why I'd wait for potentially a month, not even a month, like 2 months or however long you have to wait for this next rider hero that barely offers anything different, right? That's why I think that she kind of deserves B class. As, I feel like she's probably going to be less played from my standpoint, right? I just think that people are more likely to have already invested in a hero like this, and then they don't really have a reason to invest in Elena, and that's kind of my thought process. And that's also, I also just talked about him. I think that he's still a good hero. I think this dude's a tanky, good, even siege hero, and overall, I'm gonna put him A as well, just because I think that he's very viable. I'm gonna put. Let me find him. Jonathan. Jonathan's getting a D. I don't like Jonathan at all. I think Jonathan probably sucks. And in my honest opinion, I don't think he's any good besides being maybe a counter rallyer. I've talked about this before, but I think that Jonathan's skill damage and such, some people like wanted to point this out. I think some people look at skill damage and try to decide, oh, a hero is good because of this. You can find any hero with high skill damage, right? You can have any hero with high skill damage, but that's not going to matter if their skills are bad, right? If their skills are just balls. So I don't think that his skills, I don't even think his skills are bad. I just don't think that they're good. They're no use to me. And when you have all these other hero choices, right? What reason would I have to invest in someone like Jonathan? It just doesn't make sense. And that's why I put him D. I just don't think that he's useful at all. I think that he's a waste of an investment. You know what? While we're getting at the D class heroes, I'm going to put Maxine there. And you know what? I don't even think it has to be explained why she's bad or she's just not useful. She's a gatherer, okay? She doesn't really offer me anything else other than gathering nodes, basically. So Okay, sorry to catch my breath. Now that we're in the D class, though, I'm gonna put Carrie here. I've never liked Carrie, okay? I think that some people like him way more than me. I think I'm a little bit harsh when it comes to Carrie, in all fairness. But the thing is, he is too niche. I think that he's only good at nerfing Peterson's heal skill, and I've always had this stance. Right, I've always had this stance that if I'm to rally someone on a tower, right, if I'm rallying someone with Peterson on a tower, I don't care to send Carrie, right? I feel like the damage fall off as a result to nerf the healing just isn't worth it, especially if you're fighting a team that's able to like actually keep their tower full. I just don't see the value of this. Maybe if you're rallying a base, that's different. Maybe if you're rallying a village and you can control the field, that's way different. But if you're just rallying a tower, I've never understood this because I feel like he has a big drop off on how much damage he's dealing. Whereas if you're leading with someone like Julia over Carrie, the damage is way better. And I just feel like if you're only dropping off the healing speed for his mediocre skills, it just doesn't feel worth it to me. And that's always been my stance. You know, I think some people just have different thoughts about Carrie, as there's a lot more people who are more willing to kind of invest and run him. And I mean, those are rally captains, obviously, but I just never have found him appealing. I just always find like his damage drop off not to be worth it. All right, so you know what? I'm looking at Lee right here, and I have mixed thoughts because now you kind of have heroes that could replace this, right? And the thing is, Lee, I still think very late into the game, he's still kind of meta, right? Especially for the average player, considering a lot of players aren't able to invest in his every single hero that comes across their screen. And even if you are, it's kind of hard to say, would I invest in someone like Jacob, for example, right? And, you know, I think if you're a whale, obviously, you probably would just invest in him and invest in him. But let's say I have the choice between Lee and Jacob. I currently haven't invested in Jacob. I find, you know, I obviously am not a whale, right? I have very limited heroes that I can invest into. And I find Lee to still not be a bad hero, obviously. I think Jacob's obviously a one up if you're trying to be troop specific with like Lewis, and then you can run Jacob and Lewis, for example. But I still don't think that Lee's bad. And that's why I'm going to honestly place him in A tier, because I think that he's still really good late game. And I think the fact that you're able to invest in him so early and still find so much use between like early to late game to be very nice. I've actually seen Lee used in other places as well, besides being with like Lewis. I've seen him used with Regro. I've seen him used with other heroes. You know, for if it's good, I can't really say, right? Like I haven't tried running with Regro or anything, but I mean, I've seen whales do it. And, you know, maybe just running them with tanky heroes. I guess they just want to get those skill drops off, you know, the AoEs. And, I mean, I think he's still a pretty good hero. So, overall, I still think that Lee is very viable, especially considering the majority of people aren't able to obviously invest in every hero that comes across their screen. So, if it wasn't for that, I maybe would have dropped him to B, but I still think that he deserves his A-class supremacy. Now Lewis, I'm going to put Lewis S tier. And you know what, guys? Let me talk about something, okay? I think that Jacob isn't bad, right? I think Jacob is still a good hero. I've seen him used on towers. I honestly don't prefer him. I feel like Lewis is still meta on towers, especially in whale brackets. I think if you're maybe doing one-on-one tower rallies, there is a difference to be made. I want to actually say this real quick because I've noticed this, right? I think a lot of the bigger alliances, or even just alliances that kind of spread this information, already know this, and you'll kind of set these up during war, where a lot of people just send one troop to reduce the AoE. Because for anybody who doesn't know, Lewis deals damage up to 5 enemy squads in a circular area after awakened, the damage factor being 12k. Damage taken by each squad reduces by 15% for every additional target enemy squad. So if I have 4 one-troop squads, and I have one, you know, main squad kind of taking on the rally. If I have those one-troop squads coming in, they're going to be reducing that damage dealt by the skill damage by 15%, right? Every squad. So that vastly reduces his skill damage and kind of makes him more so useless if you're not able to control the field, get rid of those one-troops, or even just people swarming the tower, right? That being said, the same situation kind of applies to Jacob, but you know what I noticed? I noticed that he only can do this to 3 enemy squads. So even if people are able to do this reduction thing by sitting in front of the tower and taking on the skill damage, you're only reducing it with not 5 squads, but, or I guess it would be 4 squads since you have the main squad, I guess, like rally hitting. But you can reduce it with the extra 2 squads instead. But that means that, you know, obviously you aren't able to get all that all 5 of those like 15% like squad reduction damage drops, right? If you guys get my point, right? That's the one area I think that Jacob kind of excels in. But I think considering all the swarms that we face, like late game, I mean, obviously it's not the same for every bracket, but I do think that overall Lewis still is more appealing to me. I think his skills are better to me, and I'm gonna honestly place Jacob as a B tier hero. I just don't. I feel like he's I feel like he was made to be a good garrison hero, and I don't think he's bad, right? Especially if you need like an alternate hero. If I'm already using, let's say, Peterson and Lewis, or maybe Peterson and Tom, and I want to run something else, maybe I run like Jacob and Tom, or Jacob and Lewis. You guys get my point, right? Maybe I'll just run something like that instead, and he can kind of take the place. Sorry, I'm like hiccuping. Okay, but I think he's kind of a replacement here, and that's my issue with Jacob. I don't think he's bad, like I said. I just find him to be a replacement, and I don't think that he's like replacing the hero. I just think that he's kind of a backup hero, and that's why he's going to be. I don't think he's bad. Just, yeah. And I don't think he's going to be bad on the field either. I don't think he's bad on the field. He's still useful, you know what I mean? But just overall, I mean, I give you guys my opinion. For Jin, I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to still rank him like low, because I think that some people were confused the last time I ranked Jin so low, and I think this is also attributed to people who are maybe either earlier in the game, or they are maybe mid in the game and haven't reached the like amount of heroes that I have, or kind of gotten far enough. And the reason I always rank Jin so low is because when you compare him to all the current meta heroes, he just doesn't have a place, right? He used to be a really good rally hero. He used to be the go-to rally hero, but you have all these heroes that are troop specific, and usually in these like alliances later game, you can fill a rally with specific troops, and that is more preferable as well. It's just better for damage overall. I think like mixing squads, I think I just don't think that it's like as good. I just don't find Jin to be very appealing at this stage in the game. I don't think he's like used for anything. I don't see him like, if he's even used, he would maybe be used as a support at most to like on the field or something, and I just don't see that being happening either, unless you're just lacking heroes, you know what I mean? And I don't see him being a rally leader, as there's just so many better options at this point. That's why I rank him so low. I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's like meta anymore. I just think he's been replaced, and unless he gets like a nerf or something, he just doesn't have a place here. Okay, so we're gonna be looking at we're gonna do Martin. We're gonna place Martin C, okay? I think that Martin is still useful. I personally don't use him anymore because I have a lot more heroes that kind of replaced him on the field. But I think for a lot of players who obviously aren't able to get like a hero like Peterson or something, he's still going to be useful. You can use him with the healer to support healing and all that. Obviously not everybody has all these heroes. I think I keep saying that, but I kind of have to be repetitive with my wording, because I mean, I think that's has to be held true, right? I think that Martin's still useful, and I think especially for people who, just like I said, don't have all the hero options, can find use out of him. I still don't think he's a bad hero. I think that he's just been replaced by heroes that offer more. That's the only thing. Okay, and I'm considering what heroes to do next. I'm going to do Peter, and I'm going to rank him D simply because he's kind of mediocre. I think earlier out he maybe is more useful, but I think later game he just doesn't offer me very much use. I think that he's kind of mediocre as a siege hero. He isn't good at what he does, you know what I mean? And he's just a half Sierra. That's his problem. And I think the same kind of can be said about Hank, except Hank at the very least isn't like wishy-washy. I think Peter's more like he's kind of split between like heaven and earth basically, right? Between like what he specializes in. At the very least, Hank is not good. I wouldn't say he's great at what he does, but he's at the very least, he's a specializer, right? He specializes in what he does. He's at least a very solid siege hero, right? If you're maybe if you're swarming a base or something, I don't know, but I think that Hank is at the very least better than Peter in this regard. He at least is good at one thing, or somewhat good at one thing. But yeah, I think that Hank at least deserves his C rank here, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, we're gonna do Eddie. I'm gonna rank Eddie as an S-class hero, I have found Eddie to be a very amazing hero in my honest opinion. I think that he's a good rally hero. Not only like is he good with just rallies, he's good on the field. And I've seen him used a lot on Garrison, and I find this to be so weird because I've seen this so much, but I don't like it because I find like the worst part is something like this skill, right? You maybe want to be taking advantage of a skill like this when leading only infantry squads. It's almost impossible. Like, I don't care what anybody thinks, even if you were looking at alliance like Boone or something. Sorry, it's nearly impossible to keep a tower strictly infantry, especially if that tower is getting swarmed. People are spam filling that thing, and a skill like this is made useless. And I find this skill to be so appealing. And losing the effect of even one skill is just suck you, right? I don't think that he's going to be bad even if you kind of fill with other troops, but I don't think that, I think he loses a lot of his pizzazz, right? And I just don't understand why people would use him on like Garrison or something. But on the field, this dude's a monster. On like as a rally hero, this dude's a monster. I don't know, man. This dude is honestly just a beast overall. It's literally all I have to say about him. Okay, and next we're going to look at Tom. We're going to keep Tom in an A tier. I think that Tom overall is still, I think he's still really solid. I think that he's still very usable. I think he's still used very highly. And if you need another support or another hero on garrisons, on towers or whatever, he is a backup hero. I mean, kind of the same as like Jacob, except I just find him more useful overall, like in all areas and aspects, right? And even if even if I'm defending, I sometimes switch to Tom instead of Lewis, depending on the circumstances, right? I just think that Tom still has he's very useful, I just don't think that he's kind of been outclassed yet. We're gonna do Adut. I still think that Adut is deserving of S class. In my honest opinion, I find Adut to just be an overall good hero. I think that she's just really solid, offers me a lot, and I just love Adut. That's just my honest opinion. Okay. I really don't have any qualms about her. I don't really think I have anything to explain here. I think that she's honestly better, or sorry, not better. I think she's honestly a little bit worse than Eddie in all regards. But I think that she's still very useful, and she's nearly as good as Eddie. I think Eddie kind of one-upped her, but just kind of proved his worth, and that's why he overdoes Adut here. Next, we're doing Jaden. We're putting him in C, okay? Jaden, at this point in the game, he's just no use, right? I think, like, Jaden, the only reason that he'd be considered good is because he's probably the easiest to awaken hero, but also a really hard to awaken hero because of how long it takes to actually build up his fragments. But overall, he's not a bad hero. He's just not good. He's just, it's one of those situations where it's like, you're not bad, but you're not good. You're just not useful for me. He's not useful in the field. I've never really liked him that much. I just feel like his skill damage at this point compared to other heroes is kind of mediocre. Not only that, you can't make him a support hero. Some of his other skills are kind of just iffy, right? I mean, he's obviously a freer hero earlier game. He's probably much more useful then. But now at this point, he just isn't useful. He's not really offering much. Raygro, we're putting him on B, okay? Raygro, I still find him to be useful. I still run him on the field. I still see a lot of people run him on the field. I don't think you'd use him on Garrison. I mean, I feel like he'd be like sometimes your second resort, right? Sometimes your backup hero, and then sometimes he's your backup hero for maybe a swarm or something, right? But I don't think that he's used for that as much anymore. But I don't think that he's bad. I think that Raygro still is okay at the very least, and he still offers something, in any regard. Next is Maya. Okay, Maya. I don't really know. I think that Maya. I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to tier her with Chun, right? Because Chun's obviously better than Maya. But I feel like Maya isn't bad enough to be in C. And, I'm going to place her here simply to respect Chun, okay? I think that Maya's still honestly fine. I don't think that she's great. I wouldn't, I wouldn't prefer her at this point. I don't think I really need her anymore either, especially with the other range heroes you have, like Jacob, you have Lewis, you have Chun, you have Julia. That's literally 4 heroes. So if I needed to, I wouldn't even run a like third march of range, right? And I think that most people wouldn't even run 2 marches of range, at least whales, right? Because they can obviously run a lot more infantry, and infantry is preferred. But in any case, I just don't think that she's as useful anymore. But I don't think that she's a bad hero either. I still think that she's a pretty decent hero, and honestly, I just think that she's never like excelled anywhere, and that's like, kind of where she falls off at. Okay, I'm kind of like conflicted where to go next. We're gonna talk about. I forget this dude's name. I'm not even gonna lie. I think I know the name. Robert. Okay, we're gonna talk about Robert. Robert. He's at the very least better than Raygro in my eyes. I've seen him run a lot for rallies. I still personally think that Adut is a better rally leader, right? I don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something. I could just be missing something. I know that he's supposed to debuff, right? Like he debuffs for the next hero that's like kind of hitting skill damage behind him. But I feel like Adut overall is just more appealing with all her skills, right? I just never understood why people rally with Robert over rallying with Adut. That's just I don't even know. But I still think that Robert's good. I think the issue is he's one of those heroes where if I had to invest in him, I wouldn't because I'm very limited on what I can choose, right? If I had 10 heroes I could choose between, he's not one of those heroes as, I don't think I'd need him in my lineup, or not even that. I might use him, but the issue is if I've already invested in all these other heroes, I don't think that like that little inch forward of him being slightly better than maybe Raygro, and I think that he's, in my personal opinion, worse than Adut. I just don't find him worth investing in when I have all these other hero choices, including Eddie, who comes out at the exact same time. And obviously Eddie's a lot harder to get since he is the top commander hero. But that being said, if I could choose between the two, I obviously would choose Eddie or someone just overall better than him. And I don't know, man. I don't think he's bad. I think he's, like I said, better than Raygro, but I don't think that he's like some insane monster class hero that's like kind of meta changing either. Alright. Catherine. I'm kind of tempted to put her here, and honestly, I might move Bella up. Okay, I'm gonna move Bella up. I think that Bella kind of deserves maybe an S here. I kind of like Bella a lot. Okay, and I think it just needs a rider class hero up here. That's my issue. Okay, but we get Kath here. I think that Kath is honestly solid. I think the thing is like she's much better or more viable earlier game because she is, you can max her out for around $300 and you can awaken her. The thing is, there's obviously these other heroes that are just as useful as her kind of coming in late game. You know what? I don't know, man. I don't know if I should like place her over someone like Elena, right? But I feel like, yeah, I'm going to place her B, okay? But I don't think that Bella's bad. I think that Bella's honestly still really good. I still would honestly use Bella because I think that she's overall just a really solid hero. But obviously if I have these other choices to invest in, I just don't think that there's no need for me to invest in them. I don't know why I keep saying Bella. Invest in Kath, right? I just don't think there's no need for me to invest in Kath when I have all these other hero options already. And I mean, I would just rather invest in these heroes and kind of save myself the money, right? That's the scenario I'm in. Cynthia, she gets C class because I'm tempted to put her in D, but I'm going to give her C because I simply don't think that she's bad. I just think that she's not as useful, right? I just don't think that she's as useful. I don't think that she's like useful at all. I don't think that there's no need to run her anymore, right? Like, you in the early game, right, you would run maybe Kath and Cynthia because Cynthia does have some synergy skills with her. Not only that, her, she's not bad, but her skill damage is like only 8k and stuff. And the thing is, when you get like as late game as this, you need to have all these other hero options. If I want to run Bella and Kath, I'll run Bella and Kath or something like that. I'd rather run those two who just have overall better skills because I don't know, man. Like I don't think there's like really anything to explain there. I just don't think Cynthia really is useful this late in the game. I'm actually gonna put her D. Victor. Okay, I'm gonna say this real quick before I do these heroes. I can't be I can't say 100%. I do have Victor on another account. I just don't have him here. I can't say 100% about their overall performance, as I haven't personally performed with them yet. I haven't used them on the field or anything. I don't think that they're like, I don't think Victor is very useful in the field, honestly. I've seen him used on towers and I've seen some of the results. I don't think that he's bad, but I think the issue is he's only probably going to be good or like, more useful if you're using him to lead in like a 1v1 tower defense rally. And like in my brackets, it's a little bit harder for me to relate with everybody since I know not every bracket has people just swarming towers like crazy. But in my bracket personally, these tower swarms are really deadly, and the fact that he's such a glass cannon type hero, it makes him very hard to kind of be running there, right? Like I just don't find him as useful, and I feel like he melts too fast without kind of a good support. Maybe if you're using Peterson and Victor, but even then, it's like you're missing out on someone like Lewis, who has like that circular skill damage and stuff. I think that he's really good at what he's like designed for. That's the reason I'm giving him S class. But I think that he falls off, and I'm kind of tempted to drop him a tier, but I don't. I don't know completely, right? I can't, like, I don't want people to invest in a hero that I don't have a very big idea about. I don't think that he's insane though, like in my honest opinion. I don't think that he's like someone that I'm going to be pumping up for garrison duty either. I don't think I'd be using him on my wall either. Maybe if I'm just 1v1ing a rally, I would use him on my wall over like someone like Lewis, obviously, especially when you consider people using that workaround to kind of mess with his skill damage. But I think that he excels in that regard. But just in general, I don't know, man. I'm gonna put Bianca, or did I say her name right, or am I tripping? Yeah, Bianca. Okay, I'm gonna put Bianca over here as well because I think that Bianca is a solid hero. I think that especially awakened, her skills kind of boost up drastically when you kind of consider it goes from 3 nearby squads or 3 nearby allies to 5 nearby allies, plus the overall stat buff goes up. I think the issue is, I personally think that her, first skill is the most useful here. I don't really care for her other skills, but the issue is, you kind of have to awaken her to get her to kind of maximum potential here with this awaken skill, and it really encourages you to push to awaken her if you want to make her as useful as possible. Like, because I feel like that's a big jump. Like, it might seem small, but like over many battles and stuff, those extra 2 nearby allies buffed and stuff are going to be massive. That's how I feel. That is it to the video, though. I think I keep freaking right-clicking. That is it to the video. I think I gave a pretty solid opinion. My friend Taco or whatever made this tier list. I want to thank him as always. I thank him in all my videos because he also updated it with the newest hero pictures. But yeah, I do thank you, Taco. And yeah, I appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day or night, guys. And I will see you guys in the next one.